So obviously, if you've watched my videos in the past, if you've watched me regularly, if you're an OG fan of myself, you probably understand and you've come to realise that I have a massive ego. Absolutely through the roof, okay? You can probably tell in the way that I speak to you sometimes that my ego is absolutely massive. I am not ashamed of that. However, I do want to tone it down in terms of when I give you advice, because I don't really see the point in me getting my ego involved when it comes to giving you advice. However, if you are anything like myself and you are a masculine, driven, ambitious individual, I believe you need an ego. Ego is there for a purpose. You don't have anything in your body. You have no emotion or function, or your body doesn't respond to things just for the sake of it. There is a reason behind why your body does everything that it does. There's a reason behind why your mind does what it does. There's always a reason behind everything. It's the law of cause and effect. Okay? Now, with this being said, let's talk about ego. I know you've got an ego. I know pretty much everybody watching this has an ego. I don't think you could live life without an ego and function in society as a normal human being without an ego, without some degree of an ego. Otherwise, you'd walk around naked, you just won't wear any clothes because you don't give a shit, right? Let's really, really break this down, because I had a conversation with, let's just say, a girl that I used to be in contact with. And she told me that I've been watching your videos, and recently I've noticed that you're not the person that I, used to see you as. You're not the person that you used to be. And I've noticed that your ego is kind of very, very high now. And I said, okay, thank you for the feedback. I really do appreciate that. It's something that I'm working on. However, I don't think I should completely diminish my ego. Let's really talk about this, right? What even is an ego? It's your sense of self. It's what you perceive other people to see you as. It's your self-identity. It's what you want to identify as is your ego. Okay? This is not a bad thing for you to have a big ego. I genuinely believe if you want to be a successful young man, really pay attention to this. If you want to make a lot of fucking money in this world, if you want to get women, if you want to be the guy that walks into a room and everyone looks at in absolute awe and inspiration, wishing they could be him. If you want to be this guy, you have to have a level of ego and almost arrogance. Now, let me be very clear with what I'm saying. Not arrogance to the point where you don't listen to anybody else because I'm the best. I don't have to listen to you. I'm better than you, so I don't have to hear what you have to say. It's not external arrogance. It's not external egotistical actions. It's internal. In your own mind. For example, I was boxing the other day. I was doing some sparring at my gym with a bunch of other lads, right? Naturally, we're all masculine men. We're all testosterone fueled. We all want to beat each other. We're very competitive, hyper-competitive individuals. We all just naturally want to beat each other, not for any malicious reason, not because, I want to make this guy embarrassed, but you just do. It's just part of having testosterone. You are naturally more competitive. You naturally want to win. You want to conquer. If I did not have an ego, I wouldn't be as good as I were. I wouldn't be as good as I was in that situation. I wouldn't be as good at things as I am. I wouldn't be able to amass, nearly 7,000 subscribers on YouTube if I didn't have an ego. Do you know why? Because the times when it got dog invasion, the times when it got hard, the times when it gets difficult, when you need a boost, sometimes you can call upon your ego, that fear of what other people might think of you, to get the job done. If I didn't have an ego, when YouTube started getting tough, when I started to think, maybe I should just give up. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe I'm not the man that can do it. It's my ego, it's my high inflated ego, my almost internal arrogance that got me to keep going. And now I'm in the position that I'm in today. When I was on like 40 subs and I was getting literally no views, it was just me and my family or my friends or my grandma's dog, right? There's no one in particular watching my videos. I remember to this day the thoughts that I used to get in my brain of like, yeah, maybe this isn't for you. I can't really be bothered. This is so long. I can't be arsed doing this. The only thing, I promise you, the only thing that kept me going in those scenarios, in those situations, was my massive fucking ego. I used to look at people like Hamza and all these other YouTubers and think to myself, I'm so much better than these guys. I have so much more wisdom and knowledge and such a better way of articulating things than these guys. Now, I know when I say these words to you, I know a lot of the things I say on my videos sound very egotistical. They sound very arrogant. But please read between the lines, see past my own ego, and look, there is a key, there's a bit of value that you can take from this if you want to achieve any level of success. You're not going to get to where you want to be with no ego or with a small ego or with being humble. You're just not going to get there. Now, don't click off because you feel like I'm just telling you to be arrogant. There's a bit more to this I want to touch on in a minute when it comes to humility and that kind of stuff. However, in the boxing, the only reason I'm able to push through the pain of being hit sometimes and the pain of, cardio and it fucking hurts and all this kind of stuff, the only reason I'm able to push through is because I don't want to be beaten in front of everyone else. I know everyone else is watching, everyone else is judging. I want to be the absolute best in every room that I walk in, at everything that I do. I want to be the top. I want to be the absolute unbeatable best. YouTube. I can't quit because my ego wouldn't let me. I couldn't do it. I couldn't leave and let Hamza take all the... What? Nah, I'm better than him. I have to do it. I have to be at the top. It's my ego that kept me going. For example, let's say you're climbing Mount Everest. You're with a group of guys. Just picture this in your brain. You're with a group of testosterone, hyper-competitive men. Your legs are absolutely fucked. Your fingers are numb. You're freezing. Your lips are dry, cold, wet, miserable. It's snowy. It's absolutely like your oxygen is depleted because the altitude of the mountain as you're climbing it. You're climbing up Mount Everest. You know for a fact the men that you are surrounding yourself with, the men that are by your side, are not going to quit until they get to the top of the summit. You have the thought, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe you should be humble and just accept your weaknesses and just accept, I've made it this far, well, just be humble and go back down the mountain. I don't have to get to the summit anyway. If you didn't have an ego, you wouldn't care. You wouldn't be bothered whether you got to the summit or not because you don't give a shit. The ego and the fear, again, that's an emotion. You can all use this to your advantage. You can harness all of this inner power that you have, all of this internal emotion, energy, ego, everything. You can use it to your advantage. None of this stuff should be a bad thing. You could use the fear of what other people might think, the brothers that you got around you. If you quit and gave up, what would they think of you? That is your ego. That is your understanding of how people perceive you, which is now motivating you to get to the top and actually achieve the goal that you set out for. You wouldn't get to that summit if you didn't have an ego. Ego can oftentimes keep you alive. Street fights, for example, somebody pulls out a knife. I'm not dying to some pussy with a fucking knife. No chance. It's only my ego that gives me that extra bit of fuel, extra bit of boost to keep me alive, to make sure I fucking deal with that guy. Take him down, make sure he's no longer a threat. There's no way I'm allowing myself to be stabbed by some fucking skinny little pussy boy. No chance. It's only my ego that gives me that extra bit of boost. Your ego is power, it's fuel, it's energy to get shit done. My ego wouldn't let me quit YouTube, hence why I'm in the position I am today, very, very successful and living very nicely because of it. Only because of my ego that I got to this level. If I walked through the world with this be humble mindset, humility, bro, be humble, you shouldn't have an ego, you shouldn't be arrogant, you shouldn't be this, you shouldn't be that. I walk into every room and every single endeavor that I embark on in my life, I genuinely believe I'm the best at everything. Everything I've ever done, I've always had this ego. I used to play video games with my friends and we used to joke because we were all on the same level. Me and my friend that I still speak to this day. I've never met him in real life before. We FaceTime all the time. And I've known him through Xbox for like 8 years. We always used to go into every game and arrogantly big ourselves up. Like, bro, we're the fucking best. No one in this lobby is better than us. We're going to shit on everyone. Look at these shit kids. Look at the shit gamer tags. Look at this. Look at that. Arrogance. But that ego made sure that we dominated every single lobby. And I brought that same mindset into my life now. And I dominate YouTube. And I dominate in the gym. I dominate in boxing. Everything that I do, I'm automatically above average at. Even if I've just started it, even if I'm just starting to learn, I'm a complete beginner. I'm already above the average just because I've got an ego. That ego fuels me. It makes me want to learn hyper effectively. Every bit of information I'm taking in, I learn it much quicker than the average man because I've got an ego. Because I don't want to be seen at being shit at something. That is powerful. That is fuel. Why would you not want that, especially as a testosterone, red-blooded male? Why would you not want to have an ego? It's wanting to be the best. It's that drive, it's that ambition of wanting to be the best out of every other man in this room, wanting to be the best looking, wanting to get the most girls, wanting to be the best physically, aesthetically, wanting to be the strongest. All of this shit motivates you. It pushes you to be the best you can be. Why wouldn't you want that? I don't want to live life being mediocre. I don't want to live life being 80%. I want to fulfill all of my genetic potential and do myself proud. Now, there is a contrary to that. You do need balance. Like anything else in life, yin and yang, the answer to everything is balance. You don't want to be completely egotistical, because if you were, you would never learn. Because you already just assume I'm the best at everything. I don't need to learn. I don't need to listen to you. I don't need to listen to this guy on YouTube because I'm already the best. I already know that. This is negative, okay? You need a bit of humility and you need to balance it out. There is a time and a place for you to be arrogant and egotistical. Usually in competitive or stress-related environments, that's when you start to be egotistical. That's when you start to tell yourself, I'm the fucking man, I'm the fucking best, no one's better than me. Going and approaching girls. It's the perfect place for you to be egotistical, bro. Tell yourself you're the fucking man. You're the fucking best. No guy in here is going to pull more girls than you. Cool. That's going to give you confidence. It's going to give you energy to go and do it. Rather than being a little pussy sitting in the corner being humble because, oh, maybe she won't like me. Maybe I'm not that good. No. I can get any girl on this fucking planet. Do you genuinely think I struggle with approach anxiety and all this nerdy shit? No. Because in my brain, I've convinced myself I can get any girl that I want. It sounds arrogant. I know it does. Believe me, I know how I'm coming across to you right now. I understand exactly how I'm coming across. And I'm doing it on purpose to keep you captivated, but to also drill in the mindset. You have to big yourself up. You have to be on your own side. You've got to be your best friend. Your own best friend in your own brain. Why would you ever serve into a thinking pattern that strips power away from you? That doesn't make you feel the absolute best? Why would you ever feed into that? It's not doing you any good. This is not to say you walk around with an arrogant dickhead mindset. This is not to say you walk around thinking that, oh, well, because I'm better than everyone else, I don't need to listen to anyone else. It's all about balance. If you're in just a normal conversation, if you're watching YouTube, if someone's speaking to you, be humble. Shut the fuck up and listen. Close your fucking mouth. Let them speak. Don't interrupt them. Take in their advice. Be open to their perspective and their way of looking at the world. Be humble. Accept that sometimes you might be wrong. You may just have the wrong perception of life. It might not be working for you. Accept that. Learn from the person you're talking to. Take their advice and then grow and crack on. You only ever need to use your ego if you are in moments of competitiveness, stress, fear, some sort of feat of endurance you need to get yourself over. That's when you use your ego. That's when you call upon that fuel. But 90% of the time, you do not need to be operating with an ego. You don't need to be egotistical. You don't need to be arrogant. Take in knowledge around you. Speak to people. Everybody, don't be judgmental. Don't close yourself off to people because, oh, he drinks alcohol, he does that, he's a degenerate. Don't live a life of this extremist, judgmental, self-improvement mindset. I can't be friends with anybody unless they meditate all day and don't drink alcohol. Don't think like that. That is you operating with an ego. You might learn, so I've learned a lot from people that previously I may have judged just because of their actions. I've learned a lot from them. So just keep that in mind. Balance is absolutely crucial. 80-20. 80% of the time, you are humble. You act through the world. You walk through the world with humility. You take in information. You talk to everybody. You're open-minded. You consider all perspectives and viewpoints. You're very polite, respectful, and kind to people. You're not a dickhead. You say please and thank you. You're a gentleman. 20% of the time, when you're in the gym, when you're in competition, when you're in boxing, when you're climbing up Mount Everest, yeah, call upon your ego. Big yourself up. If you're in moments of stress or low points in your life, you're feeling negative right now, you're feeling depressed, you're stuck in a rut, you need a bit of help, you need a bit of a boost to get you out of it. Call upon your ego. That's what it's there for. It's that extra fuel for you to remind yourself of who the fuck you are and what you've gone through and what you're capable of and what you've survived in your life. If I'm having a really low point, if I'm stuck in a rut, I'm feeling depressed, fucking dirt bags, bro. I'll call upon my ego. And I'll say to myself, remember who the fuck you are. Remember what you've been through, all the shit you've survived. At 21 years of life, you've gone through all of this shit and you're still here. Not only are you still here, but you're thriving. and I big myself up and I drag myself out of that rut and I go again. I learn from it, I grow from it, and I crack on. Now I know, lads, that I come across as egotistical on these videos. I know that I do. That's just a fraction of who I am. If you met me in real life, if we had a normal conversation, you'd realise how humble and how polite and respectful I actually am, because I make sure that I hold myself to those standards. I make sure that I'm not an egotistical, arrogant dickhead when you talk to me. This is almost a one-sided thing. I'm lecturing you. I'm giving you advice. I don't mean to be patronising. I don't mean to come across as egotistical. But it's a very, very good way of keeping your attention hooked. If I was just humble and soft-spoken and, maybe you should do this, maybe you shouldn't, you wouldn't listen to me. You'd get bored. The internet version of myself and the real-life version of myself are two different percentages of me. They're not different people. This is still me. I'm still quite arrogant and egotistical at times. I choose to show that side to you rather than the real life side, because this side of me gets more views, gets more attention, gets more traction. And to some extent, you have to play the internet game. So just please keep that in mind. Balance your ego, balance humility, use everything you can to your advantage and become a master of every realm. The coaching is down below if you'd like to have a deep conversation with me, because I know a lot of your conversations in the real world are quite shallow, quite boring, quite surface level, small talk. If you want to have a deep conversation about the problems you are facing in your life and overcome them and have a laugh and network with somebody at the same time, the coaching is down below in the description. Come and find me there. I'll see you soon. Bow.